Am I a hole for telling my wife she needs to grow up? Am I a hole for getting mad at my trans friend's new name? Am I a hole for arguing with someone when he said I was lactose intolerant and didn't have a dairy allergy? We've been married for almost 10 years, love each other very much. We are currently living in a third city since we got married. First city was fine for 3 years. Then she started to complain about her job, quality of life, how expensive it was. So after a few months of planning, we moved to a smaller town. I found another job. She was happy. Everything was great. 5 years later, she started saying she missed her family a lot and that she wanted to be closer to them. She got really sad, almost depressed. So we moved again to be close to her family. Now we're close to her family. I started a new career again. She is super happy. Until last month, when she got her first job here, and she said the boss is an idiot, that she can't work there. And also said that maybe it was a mistake moving closer to her family because her mom is now too involved in our lives. I lost it. I told her she needs to suck it up, that I moved twice because of her, and that I had horrible bosses, but I had to keep going because we need to make money. Told her she needs to grow up and stop being a little kid. Needless to say, that started a huge fight that is far from over. She said that I hurt her more than I can imagine, and I told her that she needed to hear that, and that I'm tired of doing everything for her all the time, that now she needs to be on my side. Amari a hole?
Yeah, nope. You can be unhappy in one location and happy in another. It isn't all an internal thing. I hope someone feeling down on themselves sees this and realizes there is such a thing as ideal and not ideal locations. Happiness is not only internal, it is external as well. I don't think anyone is saying it's black and white one or the other. However, this is the third time OP's wife is wanting to disrupt their lives in order to be happier. At that point, when the behavior has become pattern, wouldn't you think there is a larger internal issue at play here? I used to not understand this at all. But the last time I moved for happiness I was 23-ish and already acknowledging that I was running away from my problems. It took a little longer to understand putting distance between you and your problems doesn't work, they always manage to catch back up with you. I think this can only get you so far. Sometimes a change in scenery/surroundings/employment can be a big step towards happiness. But when you keep changing and changing and changing with the same results, it's time to rethink the game plan. Thank you. I hope it's not too forward, but here's what I first wrote about it: "In short, September found me in that same rut that so many of us fall into. We move to a new city or new country, or even into a new relationship, and expect that when we look in the mirror we're going to find a new person, only to be constantly disappointed when we discover the same face staring back at us. The older I get, and the more I travel, the more I realize that all these new experiences are less an opportunity to reinvent ourselves than a violent shove against a blue screen, all our strengths and weaknesses brought to the forefront, regardless of the background." Spoiler alert. That blog entry ended on a much happier note: P. right parenthesis. I totally relate as someone finally getting to travel and live independently. Luckily, I managed to get to a spot where I feel pretty confident in my identity. I'm looking forward to moving away soon, if I can finally find a damn software engineering job. I haven't even gotten an interview yet. Came to find this comment. What kind of places are they living for there to be only one job option? Also, how close are the family? Because my parents and my in-laws live within 2 miles of me and are not overbearingly involved in our lives/relationship. They also never have to stay at my house, or me and theirs, for prolonged visits.
Second story, Amari a hole for getting mad at my trans friend's new name. I know the title is bad, but bear with me. My trans female friend recently transitioned, and I have been giving her my support. She now no longer uses her dead name and was in the process of choosing her new name. Now, I am all for having freedom of choice for your new name, but I do find it a little weird that people will choose Eastern Asian names for aesthetic reasons when they themselves are not Asian. You won't see people choose a Southern Asian name because those are deeply rooted in tradition and culture when Eastern Asian names are too. I was always teased growing up for having such a weird and hard name to pronounce. Many young and choosing an Asian names just feel a little like cultural appropriation. I would have been fine if my friend chose a name in my culture, Korea, that was common and that she felt comfortable using, but what she chose is something that really rubbed me off the wrong way. In 2017, my sister passed away. It really messed me up for a while. As a kid, our father was abusive, and I had only my sister to rely on. She was an adult at the time and took me out of the abusive home. My sister's name was Mencio. So my friend phones me one day to inform that the name she had chosen was Mencio. Keep in mind that she herself is nowhere near Asian. As soon as I heard she had chosen my dead sister's name, I felt really disrespected. My friend knew my sister before she passed and had always made remarks about how pretty my sister name was. I never thought that she would take up my sister's name. I told her that I didn't like how her name was my sister's name and asked politely if she could change it because I don't feel comfortable calling her by a deceased person's name. She ended up blowing at me saying that I should feel grateful she was using my sister's name and that she already chose it and wanted to use it. She called me an a hole and hung up. Now, all of our friends are calling me selfish for not letting her use my sister's name and saying that I was just transphobic, even though I chipped in for much of her surgeries and supported her through it all. So I've come to Reddit to ask for help. Am I really the a hole here?
Agreed. Even if it was well intended, as soon as OP raised issues with a choice, their friend should have reflected on why that negatively affected OP. Choosing then to ignore OP's pleas and opinion on the matter is selfish and cold-blooded, given the circumstances. And anyone claiming this is transphobic can go suck an egg, as I'm assuming they're only hearing the friend's side of the issue, and not OP's. This happened to me. I had a falling out with my best friend. She, very swiftly, took over the narrative with our mutual friends. I didn't get the chance to explain because no one answered their phone, and they all stopped inviting me out or to parties or get-togethers. I wasn't willing to go out of my way to go to their homes because I'm not a doormat. I was 19 and we were all still really tight, so it hurt a lot. I lost all my friends. It was 5 years before I had randomly seen enough of them to tell my side, and I was 100% not in the wrong. I started getting invites again, but it wasn't the same. None of those people were truly my friend. So, what happened between me and my best friend way back then? She had met my new boyfriend just once and didn't like him. She showed up at my house early in the morning, woke me up and told me I needed to stop seeing him. When I told her it wasn't her decision, she gave me an ultimatum. Her or him. I told her to get the fuck out of my house with ultimatums. I think she was upset because I had never been in a more serious relationship before, just casual, so up until then I had always been available to her. People jump on the drama train and don't always give a person a decent chance to share their side. I completely agree. OP's friends are claiming this as an issue of transphobia when it isn't at all. As any trans person would know, names are important. So to not only take one from another culture, but also a friend's dead sibling is beyond disrespectful. If a cis woman made this name change, it would be no less unacceptable. Being a minority yourself doesn't allow you to disrespect other minorities, it just makes you bigoted. OP is NTA, and I hope their friends can open their eyes to how the real world actually works. Trans girl here, what Op's friend is doing seems calculated and manipulative. While I understand she enjoys the name, choosing it despite it being a name very sensitive to others, there's obviously some differences here, but she was very obviously naming herself after Op Stilly departed, with zero thought nor regard to how that would make Op feel. Seems like she intends to replace, or take that sister's role in Op's life. NTA Op, I definitely keep her at arm's length for a bit until whatever's going on in her head calms the *CK down. Sorry for your loss, I hope you can find peace soon Op.
Third story. I'm on a hole for arguing with someone when he said I was lactose intolerant and didn't have a dairy allergy. So I have a dairy allergy. I've had it in my entire life. When I eat dairy, my mouth and throat get itchy, and sometimes my nose gets runny. I guess when I was a baby, my parents gave me cheese, and I kept itching my eyes. They took me to the pediatrician, and he determined I had a dairy allergy. I was hanging out with some friends yesterday, like four people, and my friend brought his friend Alan with. My friend said something about getting pizza, and I said, "You guys can, and I'll get a burger or something somewhere, because I can't eat pizza." People forgot. No big deal. Alan was like, "What can you eat pizza? Lactose intolerant?" I said no, that I have dairy allergy. It was like, "It's the same thing, just take a lactate and you'll be fine." I said no, it's not. My reactions are different. This is an allergy, but not an intolerance. He was like, "Dude, there is no such thing as a dairy allergy. It's lactose intolerance." I said, "Well, if I eat dairy, my throat gets itchy, and if someone has lactose intolerance, it upsets their stomach." He was like, "It's lactose intolerance, dairy allergy aren't a thing." I told him if he wanted someone to explain it to him, I'd give him my doctor's number, but I'm done discussing it. I had zero intention of doing that, but I was sick of going in circles. After Alan left, my friend that bought him said I should have just agreed with Alan instead of arguing with him, because he's argumentative and always has to prove his right. That I antagonized him by feeding into it. Am I a hole? Should I have just said sure and let it go?
This. As someone who became deathly allergic to chocolate, I'd never make it if my friends and family didn't have my back about this mess. I've never heard of it, so it can't possibly be true. Is some serious red flag material. Some people have even tried sneaking it into recipes to prove something. Luckily I keep an EpiPen on hand, and the people close to me know what to do. OP needs better friends and dude needs some brain cells to rub together. As far as I know, cilantro and coriander are the same plant, just known by different names such as zucchini and courgette. Just in case you need to look for it on menus in other places. I am not allergic to it, but can't stand the taste, a weird genetic thing that makes it taste like soap in my mouth. If it's only when it's raw, it's probably pollen food allergy syndrome. I have it, and can't eat peaches, apples, pears, cherries and a bunch more fruits and nuts, unless they're cooked because of pollen. It's super annoying, since I wasn't even allergic to pollen until I was 18. Also, and I absolutely love fruit, especially peaches, which are my worst reaction. Left parenthesis. If a food makes your mouth/throat itch, then don't eat it, even after taking an antihistamine. You can exacerbate the sensitivity with repeated exposures and get yourself into real trouble. I speak from experience on this, alas. With vegetables, usually cooking them will solve the problem, as cooking changes the structure of the proteins that are causing the allergic response. I started to notice something was upsetting me when I was in my early 30s. It's now confirmed it's coriander, cilantro, intolerance. It gives me IBS-type symptoms. Trouble is places have started using it as garnish recently. It's also a key ingredient in Indian curries, and I love a curry. Weirdly, it's a very common allergy/intolerance. An indicator is a metallic taste when eating it. It's a weird herb that's almost got a built-in taste warning. I just wish restaurants would stop sprinkling it on everything. The amount of times I've had it on fries is insane. Same. I was in high school when my chocolate allergy started. It sucks, but I've gotten used to it over the years. It's a lot better now that more candy companies are making white chocolate alternatives, but sometimes I just really wish I could have a cup of hot cocoa or a dark chocolate Snickers bar. I did find a strange coconut espresso drink at my local corner store that tastes exactly the way I remember Yoo-hoo tasting, and there's nostalgia involved, so I love it. My husband says it's disgusting and tastes nothing like Yoo-hoo, which he says is also disgusting, and honestly he's not wrong there, but it reminds me of my mom, so I just ignore him.